Oh shit! Because you go
Wore the
forward all the
rubber off
time.
of it. Look at the height. This still has the top on it. This one doesn't.
Chat,
Why do you do it?
it's time to
Why
switch.
don't you have?
I'm waiting until this one breaks into pieces, turns into sand.
No, it's time to
I'm
switch
I
to
wait. I want to
MK.
wait till the moment it says to me, "I don't feel so good," and then I'll switch over. That's a keyword.
It's posted.
You guys
Well,
see the? Did you guys see the mountains are blue shirt that Evan posted in our Discord?
Does it change with the weather?
No, but it's got blue mountains all over it. I've almost pulled the trigger, but I'm afraid it's gonna just be too. I'm afraid it's gonna hit me just a touch small on the length.
I mean, based on the brand that it's stating, I think it might be pretty true to size.
I'm like a 3x in some stuff, and or like a 3x tall. Like I'm pretty comfortable with ordering. But it's hard to pay $60 for a shirt that I don't know is gonna fit.
Hmm.
yeah. A lot of this stuff we're not diving crazy into with the Battle Eye and some of that PvP
Yeah, it's just
stuff.
there so you can pull what you want to talk about from.
Yeah, it's there. It's something I don't feel like we're very passionate about, but just the anime profile people on Twitter are.
Hey,
Don't forget about the
I
don't
don't
forget
have a
about
Twitter
the
for that reason.
don't forget about the people from other countries. I think that's how we decided I should say it.
The languages with characters you don't know what they are.
that
That
that's
that
that's how
that opens it up enough, because like, I bet you couldn't look at Farsi and be like, I know what that is. And then most of like the Russian, Cyrillic alphabet, you'd be like, "Ah, it looks like our letters, but it isn't pronounced the same way. That's just an
all of
uppercase
you.
B. That's not how to
And
pronounce.
why are
What
there
is
three
it?
of them?
Why is there three? Oh. Oh, so what is your max light level right now, Fox?
88. I just looked.
Oh, he's
Uh,
close.
yeah, I'll be fine by
91
the
is
20th.
yeah. Yeah, oh yeah.
No, I was
Yeah.
talking about for Tuesday. Well, next week.
Yeah, cuz
Yeah,
next
I'll be
week.
fine.
Yeah, he said Tuesday.
I said I'm 1578 flat plus 10, and I'm halfway to 11. So if I can get 4 plus 2 powerfuls to hit, okay, and do a few more things on the old season pass, I'll hit that 90.
I don't even know what the totem challenge is. I didn't really pay attention to that one.
I think it's you have to touch both sides while you're doing it. So essentially,
Oh,
like,
you
so
rotate.
say my rotation was I pick up the thing and I go into left totem. Then I go back to mid to deposit. I pick up a wizard and then I kill the knight, take that, and then go to right side.
Okay.
And that becomes the rotation. You just go in a big oval
Yeah.
instead of a little
Yeah,
circle.
you basically figure 8
Yeah.
instead
Yeah,
of
yeah.
triangle.
You have to, yeah, you
That's
have
pretty
to
easy.
pick up Death Singer's power on both sides. Um, each
So
rotation until it's
we're
done.
like halfway doing that already.
I mean, yeah, that's easy because it's basically if I start on left, I go in when I'm in center, I then shoot the right
Yeah,
side,
you go
knight
like
and stuff, and then drop down and go.
so basically you go left wizard, left plate, middle plate, right wizard, right plate, middle
Yeah,
plate.
yeah, depending on where you start the rotation. Yeah,
Right, yeah.
yeah, but yeah, it's the same thing. Like if I'm coming in from the left, I'm shooting the wizard on the right, and then when I'm coming back from the right to the mid, I shoot the left side knight and then go to left. That's it. Just a little figure eight. It's easy enough. I'm pretty certain from what I read on what the challenges were from day one. That's what it was. But
The next one's gonna be the bad one.
the what is the
From the time that you grab the thing, you have to grab it within like 3 seconds or 5 seconds. Like
That's
from the
War
time you kill the
Priest.
knight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, war priest? Yeah, so you have to basically kill the knight at the latest time possible and then run back and take it.
Yeah, I think the play is you have to do every damage phase from the middle, and then with like 5 seconds left on the last one, you rotate left or rotate right. I think you start left, like you do your damage on the upper left hand side on the first, and then go like right then middle. But you're always going to be doing most of your damage in the middle, and then just jumping up to the other two sides at the very end of damage phase.
I think you do it as in like whoever starts with it, the buff, like say right side gets it, you should do damage on top left. But if left side gets it, you should do damage on right.
Because I guess the knights would spawn on the other two from the
exactly.
other.
Because if it starts on left, the left knight won't spawn, and it'll be easier to go from down there.
Yeah, that would make sense. That'd make a lot of sense.
But if it starts on the right, go to mid, because then the left side guy can just drop down real quick.
If it starts mid, you should go top left because that's definitely it sucks. But like do damage from top left for a while and then go drop down and go mid. Go to the right.
Starting from mid's gonna be hard though, because
it's the worst one.
If the knight starts on the right and you go up to the left, you have to like meet back in the middle and then go, or you have to move to where the first knight is and then rotate to the other one and just.
I guess it would have to be the call out then, wherever the first knight starts to spawn, go there for damage, and then kind of just move as a group, go up to top left to see.
Yeah, you have to like move. Yeah, it'll take a little bit of getting used to, but honestly, it's one of those things like once you do it once, you're never going to do it again.
And that's probably going to be the worst one, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying.
Because the Golgi one is everybody has to shoot the back, right?
You just rotate it,
which
everybody has, which is easy.
Yeah,
because you just pull the roster strat. Where I'm gonna
1,
shoot
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I'm gonna shoot second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Yeah.
And either do that.
That's the best strat.
Or the
because everybody has heavy the whole time. Solid. You never run out of heavy.
Yeah, because there's times like I am like full on heavy and have like 6 bricks.
And you're just
on the right side, just ready to grab. Yeah.
So I found
it's
out
just like
the triple tap, linear, and then a slug shotgun will get you through it all.
Okay. That would make sense because like the last 3 or 4 bubbles, you're right up on his nuts, aren't you?
Yep.
Yeah, you're right inside of his, like, right on the gooch. You can tickle it. Go. Where are we live?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we're very much live.
We got 3 people. Dark Haze is in chat saying we all need Jesus.
Dark.
And then Jared Bentley, I think that's my bad, right?
Yeah, that's my bad.
Yeah, my bad.
I saw him post in the Discord saying he's bored.
And his hat wins.
I haven't got to tell him yet. that we got picked for season tickets for basketball. So we ordered 2 days ago. So got a lot of rep arena in my future, except on Tuesdays. So be giving those away, selling them.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Scott has them. He said that he sold his. He said that his tickets. He has 2 tickets and. He's like 1 level above me because he's had him for like 3 or 4 seasons. So he's down to like chairbacks now. He's still upper. But he said that
really...
the games that the games that he sold, that he had like $1,300 or $1,400 down there. Like just like sitting in an account from games that he sold. And his tickets were only like $2,200 for both, like total. So like most of his are already paid for just off what he sold.
Yeah. Then you like sell the 2 big games, you make the rest of your money back.
It's kind of like, I don't know if I want to sell. I'll probably sell like Florida and Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really want to sell Kansas or Louisville or Tennessee. Those are kind of the 3 that I want to.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Like because we're going to be good. Like that's what helps. Like it's not like we have like a mediocre team coming in. I think we're going to be like a rock star team this year. So.
All right.
I'm almost done posting links.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to go bathroom real quick. Be right back.
What have you guys?
So, my bad. What's your favorite weapon so far this season? Because I am struggling to find one.
Oh, dude, that sidearm is
Oh,
balling.
it can just not even exist.
Dude, it's so good though. It is so good.
Yeah, it's I don't. A lot of work needs to be done to sidearms, and I think that the guy's name's Ivan that did that like 4 hour long shotgun video. He's been talking a lot about it.
4 hour long shotgun video.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that yet.
yeah. Basically, he's got
That's
it
like
pretty
that's like
broken down. Like it's like he's got it straight up. Like if you want a shotgun, he's got it straight broke down of what you want. Like if you got an ag frame,
so like Fallout used to do like
Yeah.
all the shotgun.
Yeah.
Is he just outclassed?
he just didn't want to do it anymore. But whenever Bungie redoes the pellet spread thing, I think Fallout will probably do another
Yeah.
one. But
Yeah.
yeah, he's got it all out there now until they do the pellet spread change. Yeah. Basically, it's
When's the night? That's what I like to hear. Thank you, sir.
the basically found verdict with opening shot is the best shotgun in the game.
Do you have to have like all the other perks with it though?
Yeah, you need to have some help there. You don't want to be hurting your range.
Like accurized, full choke, and all that stuff with it.
I
masterwork.
don't think full choke is needed now with the change that happened to it. I think
Because you used to want what full choke or there were two that were decent. Give me 1 second. I'm sure somebody's yelling at their television at the moment.
It's okay.
That's not bad. Don't
Chad,
have
what was the other good shotgun perk?
What?
Full choke and
What do you want,
accurized
Fulcher?
opening shot.
no. It was in the same column as full choke. The other barrel that was
Oh, rifled barrel is the other one. That's like pure
Full-
range.
was it right? I guess
Are you talking about
this
for
was
reprieve?
like this was like pre-spread.
Oh,
Like the what was the name of the trial shotgun? Astral Horizon.
Astral Horizon, yeah.
Full choke or rifled barrel, and then like accurized was really the only. That was kind of like what you needed to compete back in the day. Doesn't sound like it's that way anymore though.
No, it is. But instead, you don't have to do full choke now.
Okay.
You still want opening shot. And found verdict is the longest shotgun, so it extends your ranges it
Right.
even far.
Yeah. Was it the chaperone that had that one ornament that made it longer, which made it better?
It was like a half a meter range or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, I have us all set up. If everybody's ready, we can let the dogs out. Chad, you good? Jared, you good?
Yeah.
I guess so.
You guys got this squiggles?
Yep.
All right. Here we go. Eyes up, Guardians. We are live for episode 78 of the Conqueror's Corner podcast. Today is Thursday, September the 15th, 2022. I am the Destiny bad boy, NotRyanFox, here with my fire team, who all of you CCBs know by now. Jared?
Yeah, it's mainly focused around season of Plunder stuff. Weapons breakdown for there, and I think Chad's got something special in store for lore for us.
And the chronicler himself, chadocero.
Yeah, we definitely did or did not coordinate on that. I'm doing some seasonal weapon lore, so it's going to be very Plunder heavy after this TWAB.
And remember, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can take us on the road via Spotify, iTunes, and other podcast services. Make sure you subscribe and unsubscribe and then resubscribe so we can really trick those algorithms. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. Send us a bunch of friend requests. Join the Discord server so we can play together. We're always looking for new raiders. We had a TWAB, and we also had a hotfix that we need to get into. That hotfix, there was a lot of content in that today. But before we get into all of that, we need to listen to the intro music brought to you by everybody's favorite Link, who you can find on Twitter at LinkOfTimeG.
All right, everyone. This TWAB kind of talks about everything across the board in the game. So the first thing we'll kick off with is security and that wonderful battle eye that's been working in the background. So battle eye has been working really well for Bungie, and it's helping them focus on toning other parts of the security of the game. And what it's done is they've come around with a new wave of bans, so that's why they're kind of talking about this. And people have been reporting that they don't remember ever cheating and stuff. And that's basically, they've gone back and looked, and it's like, well, you gave your account to somebody else and they cheated on your account, and then they turned it back over. So that's known as account recov for the most part. So a lot of people call that. So that's what's getting people banned. So, if you're out there trying to grind for loot, especially if it's PvE loot, I mean, we kind of talked about it. Like, we will take you through raids. We'll take you through dungeons. Getting the Grandmaster level to do stuff, I mean, that does require some work on your end because of the light level grind. But there's a lot of stuff in this game, PvE-wise, that we'll take you through. So there's no reason to go pay for account recovery for that. PvP-wise, I understand. They'll want to just like, hey, here's my account, go get me flawless. So get me a depth weapon and I'll pay you whatever it is. But if you enjoy Destiny and you enjoy your account, I would not gamble on that.
It's not worth it. Stop. Get some help. Ask us to help you. We will help you, I promise.
If you catch me on the right weekend, yeah, I'll suffer through trials with you. We're not going flawless, and we're not resetting cards. We're just like in there for the XP. So
we'll get our 7 and keep going.
Yeah, that 7 might take 40 games to get there, but we might get there one time eventually. All right, next up is Iron Banner. I think we all played a decent amount of Iron Banner last week. We all erupted. We all got our 5th kill streak on like one end of the map, and that spawns flipped. And by the time you reached the other team spawning, you erupted with your 15 seconds and didn't get the pop off, even though they're waiting for you to walk around the corner and shoot you with grenades and everything else before you even peek. But overall, the numbers and player base back that up. So historically, they see the most engagement on the first day of the event, followed by a significant drop-off in players until the weekend comes. With Eruption, they saw consistent numbers across all days, and even an increase on the weekend of the number of hours played per player over each subsequent day as the week continues. So that's great. I mean, the players showed up and they played and enjoyed it. So if you weren't around for this last week, there's only one other week of Iron Banner. So just be aware whenever it comes around and get your resets in to become Iron Lords. I did become Iron Lord.
How much did you guys get in this week? Or last week, I guess.
Yeah, I got a reset in, and that was it.
You got a full reset in? Like a full 10K reset?
Yeah.
Wow. So did it take 2 characters, like 36 games or whatever, to get through it?
I thought about switching over, but I was like, that would have dropped my XP booster because I had
Like your times 5.
yeah, because I had the 4 challenges done on my hunter. If I switched over to the Titan, I would not have those 4 challenges done.
Yeah, you would, because it goes up to like 8 and then 12 when you switch over.
No, it doesn't.
So yeah,
I'm
I
telling you,
eventually would
unless
get them.
it changed,
I would, but like
They changed it.
those first 5
I
games.
did
okay.
all the characters.
Yeah.
I changed it. Okay.
So that's
Yeah.
why I stayed on
It
one
annoyed the hell out of me.
because I wanted to get a reset in because I'm not sure I'll be around for the
Man.
next Iron Banner week.
That sucks, because I thought that it like stacked, because in like last season, like I was on like 8 out of 4 of the challenges and then 12 out of the 4. It took 2 characters all the way through like their 18 games or whatever.
Yeah.
To to reset. So I had one character at like 14 or 15 on like Thursday or Friday, and I finished it off. I got to the 18 to get that pinnacle, and then I stopped because I didn't want to start another character, and because I knew I wouldn't play 18 games again. But I wish I would have known. I probably would have played another 5 or 10 on my main just to get up. Because I think I'm at like, don't like hold this over my head, but I think I'm around 3,000 after like those 18 games, and that's 5 out of 5 of the armor because I put the ornaments on,
Yep.
put the emblem on, and I'm still like really far away. So I don't know if I'm gonna get it done. I don't know if I'm gonna get through another 7,000. So we'll see.
Oh man, I did all the challenges and all 3 characters. I got partway through the second reset, and I was very much disliking all of it. I had to like halfway through my Titan, I had to just be like, you know what? I'm just gonna level up guns. Like I'm just gonna be here. As soon as I switch that mindset, I'm not gonna care, because all I needed was like 17% wins to finish off that triumph to guild.
Right.
Didn't get a single win after that. Not a single, like I was already on like a 5 lose streak, and I'm like, I don't care anymore. And I continued to not win anything, and I was like, whatever. Whatever. I'm just here to mess around and do some stuff. But
Here, so I don't get fined.
Yeah, I had that Taipan attached to my hip for all the games just to get it.
Just to get that that activity completion or whatever.
Now, scoring wise, there is something they're going to work on with the scoring. So whenever someone is interrupting, you kill that person, and you get +5 to your score. However, every person right now that gets the assist on that also gets +5 for the team. So there can be a big swing in points there that is really counterintuitive to ever becoming erupting. So they're working on that for the future. Next up is some matchmaking stuff going on in Control. So on average, matchmaking times have increased by 10 to 15 seconds, and that's kind of where they want it to be at right now for the majority of players. But for players that are on the extreme end, so that's the lower tier and the high tier players, that's Grenader Jake, Gigs, Pure Chill, all them people at the very top, like they're having issues finding matches. Then the other one is the new lights, the people that just get into the game. Maybe they haven't played a lot of first-person shooters in the past. They're also having struggled finding games. So those times is either doubled or more than doubled. So they adjusted some aspects of the matchmaking to a wider range of skill sooner while searching for a match. And then also this should help latency at the same time that it's going to be taking a little bit more time to find players, have more players to choose from to help get a better latency overall game. I've seen a lot of people post games that are in the higher end of a PvP skill, and like I think Cool Guy posted a few of them. I'm just like half a frame, and then like he's died because a character's jittered back and forth, and it's really bad the latency wise. So it sucks that those games go on, and I hope this fixes it.
I just put up my Crucible report. I forgot that the first 3 games I played, I didn't realize in order for them to count, you had to be on Arc or Stasis subclass. So I played 21 games and went 14-7. in Iron Banner in those 21 games. And 14 wins took me to like right about 50% of that triumph for the gilding.
Okay. See, I didn't get my second reset for the title in until this week. So the next week in Iron Banner, I'll have to choose if I want to gild it or not. I might not. It just depends on what's happening that week, you know.
Right, I get that.
So
I had a good time, man. I like the game mode. My one critique, which I mentioned to you guys on Raid Night Tuesday, was the map that they snuck in as like a new map. Why did they choose the greatest Rift map from Destiny 1 to bring in for Eruption instead of Rift last season? That map was far and away. That cat just jumped behind me. If you guys saw that on camera, it jumped in through the window. So that map was the greatest Rift map in my opinion. And I saw it and I thought, why did they bring this back now? Why wasn't this not here last season? So that was a poor planning in my opinion, because I'm sure we're going to see more Eruption based upon the numbers you discussed.
Yeah, that was Cathedral of Dusk, right? Is that the map you're talking about?
Yeah, Cathedral Dusk.
Yeah. Very large map, and yeah, that should have been brought back. I feel like they should have switched the two playlists. Like last season should have been Eruption, and this should have been Rift.
Yeah.
Based on the maps.
I don't know, man. They spent the last like 950 days coming up with the Eruption game mode, because that's what else new has came out in that amount of time other than Eruption.
All right, he's stoking the flames here, trying to get us fired up. Yeah, I think you're trying to fire up the wrong set of people here, because when it comes to PvP maps and PvP games, I'm like, drop it to 5v5 and some small maps.
You guys have figured it out. It took 78 episodes, but we're here.
So Fox brought up maps. So Bungie is straight up telling us what's been going on with map rotation here. So the new maps is Destruction and Cathedral. So they have the increased rating. You should be getting those maps more often because they're new. They have a set of another maps here that has 4 weighting. So I guess that would be normal. So that's Fragment, Twilight, Western Lands, Javelin 4 is in there. And also Eternity and Vostok. So, okay, that's like a few of those in there that are like people's favorite. I think Pacifica is decent. I still like that one, but I mean Javelin 4 is everybody's favorite. That should just be thrown up to like be the most weighted map for the most part, right? And the next ones have reduced.
I'll be honest with you, man. I don't even know what map Javelin 4 is.
It's the one with the rocket in the middle, and you're like, part of it's outside, part of it's inside. It's typically like a control map.
That's everybody's favorite?
It's the one that they put in Fortnite.
Yeah, it's the one they put in Fortnite.
Yeah. I guess mine's Burnout. Like, that's just my favorite. Like, there's not anything that compares to it. That is the weird thing. So every other Bungie game, so like you think of all the Halo maps, I bet I could rattle off 70 maps if you gave me like 15 minutes.
We've done that in a previous podcast.
And you know what the reason of that is that Halo had such a prevalence of custom games compared to Destiny.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it is, because I was trying to think what's the difference. It's not like I'm too stupid to remember maps, because I remember maps I played 15 years ago. But like this, like these maps, like I don't know them until I see the little picture.
Yeah.
Like I don't.
And it was like a 2-second load-in screen.
Yeah.
And we don't have map voting either to even like know what's going on. So
yeah.
And you mentioned Burnout. Those actually, it has a reduced rating. You're actually supposed to get that map less often. So that's with Bannerfall, Midtown, Exodus Blue,
that
and
map is just like that map is made for like Destiny's iconic weapons, hand cannon, and then you can shotgun ape. If you're a really good sniper, you can do some damage on that map because you've got some sniper lanes, and it frees up both of those, like all of that to be used. But I don't know. People are. It's like the Trials map. Like when I think of Destiny, that's the map that I think of, not Javelin 4.
Yeah. And now all this stuff waiting wise we're talking about Control. weighting lists. So like comp and all that stuff, they all have different weights per playlist. And these 3 maps, they completely remove them from control, and that's Anomaly, Cauldron, and Convergence. So those are the 3 smallest maps, I feel like. So yeah, I think map voting can do a lot to this game. For PvP wise, I think, because like it gives people time to change out your loadout, because like, you know, you like, all right, I build out for an SMG build and like you got all your mods on, but you realize when you're loading into Cathedral of Dusk, and you're like, well, this SMG stuff's not going to work. So I think they need to do something like that.
Not only that, but sometimes like different subclasses are better on different maps, and if you switch those too late, then you don't start with your grenades or any of that stuff either. So something else to think about. And wouldn't map voting be the ultimate like show of what are the most popular maps and what do the Destiny player base want? So they could, in theory, whenever Destiny 3 comes out and they actually make new maps, that they would know kind of what people like.
I think at this point, like everybody's like Javelin 4, Burnout is like, if they're gonna bring maps over into the Destiny 3, I think those 2 are like have to be it, right?
Especially like assuming that Trials comes to Destiny 3, because some version of it will have to, that will have to come. And then maybe what was the big the map with the 9, was that Convergence or whatever?
Yeah.
That one, because it came with Trials of the 9, that was like the map with it. So I always liked that map that was like on the Leviathan. You remember that? Like a third of the map you were like inside of a ship area.
Yeah, I forgot the name of it, but yeah.
I like that map. I wish that map would come back, because you kind of had like 3 lanes that you could play and everything, because you know you got to have 3 lanes in order for it to be a multiplayer map in this day and age. So
all right, that brings us to whether we wanted it or not, we stepped into a war with the beans in the Plunder Dome. So that's Fall Guys. You know, I think over like, was it a year and a half ago when that came out and kind of just like took over for a while, and now it's free to play, so people's gotten back into it again. It's on Switch and stuff like that. So there's some Destiny themed beans to dress up in.
Also.
Yep. So there's a Warlock, Titan, and Hunter, and then there's a Spicy Ramen Celebration, and then a Ghost Shell wearable. Haven't went in there to see how they looked or anything yet. I think I've seen some people play Fall Guys with the skins on, but
I didn't know people still played Fall Guys.
It had a resurgence recently. They did some stuff and updated it, and they were getting a lot of streamers, paid or not paid, to showcase it and play it on their platform for like a week. It was like a
Was it
week
if they pay us, we'll play it.
Yeah.
If they pay us, we'll play it. We'll sell out. I don't care.
Yeah, I would.
I mean, really, it's more of a party
They give me
game for the
$5.
most part.
I'll play it.
Like, they did bring custom lobbies to it, to where you can have like a group of
Clan
15,
night.
20. Just people would get in there and do stuff. So, speaking of getting your friends together, next week, the Master King's Fall comes out with challenges also hitting the raid. So what do you need to know? So double loot rewards for a counter that you complete with a challenge on normal mode. On master mode, when you complete the challenge, that's how you get an adept weapon. And then also on master, encounters reward a stat focused armor, and then all encounters will be at 1600. So that is 30 above the powerful cap. So getting to that 1591 is usually makes that experience way easier and smoother for your team. However, might be a tall task at this point in the season, depending on how much you played or how your RNG is worked out for your armor drops. So my question to you all: how are you all looking to be at least 1591 when Tuesday hits?
I'm good. My Titan's 95 at the moment, so we're chilling.
Nerd. I am at 88. Currently, I am at exactly 1578 on my Warlock. Like, I'm have 3 1579 and 3 1577, and the other two are 1578.
Yeah.
So, once this is over, and this weekend, I still have like, I think I can do Preservation, the weekly mission, and 100K, which should help me get closer. And then do seasonal challenges next week. I should be able to hit the 1590. That should give me the 2 that I need. And then maybe if we run like a raid Tuesday, like a normal raid Tuesday, and then like do like the nightfall and stuff, I could probably hit it by like Thursday or Friday of next week without much sweat, I think.
Yeah, I got my hunter to 1580 this week, and I think I'm 1594. I think I'm at least one behind Chad. He's quite farther up the season pass rank than me. I think I just reached 89 or 90 on the season pass.
Is
Before,
that
before-
nightfall? Is it 95 this season?
Yes, for Grandmasters.
Yeah, it should be him. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
Grandmaster
that's a
ready.
lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot.
That's fast. Before we move on here, I'm gonna say, Jay Brewer, you a real one over here in the chat.
Cousin Cody?
Yep.
There we go. There we go.
All right, then one more moment for something that's happened earlier this year. So, a community moderation lead named Drew is puts this passage into the TWAB. He's also known as Dorado. Dorado. All right. Earlier this year, they lost a well-respected longtime member of the community, Seraphim Crypto. I think that's how you say it. Almost 9 months in, and the pain and loss for still remains. And so, his favorite number was 37, and they created a special emblem for him, and it has 36 dots, and so one of the dots is left out in remembrance of him for the light that he no longer emits, and that's left a hole in their lives. So the emblem, if you want to get it, it's XVXDKJCVM. I'm sure the people that created this and knew this community, this member of the community sees that emblem again, they would probably warm them and know that their friend is being remembered.
You guys download it yet?
Yeah, I put it in. Haven't logged on to Destiny yet to equip it.
Yeah.
Yeah, samesies.
Yeah, that with the cold armor, I'm sure it'll be pretty popular here for the next few weeks.
Yep. All right, and that's the TWAB from Hippie. So pretty solid TWAB there. All right, next up is 3 likes and dislikes. I'm going to start it out. I kind of already talked about my like here. As my hunter has reached 1580 base. So this kind of just like when you log into the game, it's one less thing to worry about is doing preservation, doing the 100K story mission, and stuff like that on your main character. So that's nice. I think Titan's going to be next up. I'll casually try to start bringing up that hard image light build on Titan. It's probably going to be really good for the master raid to really pop out a lot of DPS and stuff like that for these encounters and keep ads at bay.
My like is that the seasonal grind of catchcraft and then playlist activities and then expedition, they could be worse. They could be better, but they could be worse. So that's my like.
And mine, I like that the voice lines in the activities this season are providing a lot of the lore. A lot of the time, they're conversations that give you a little bit of insight, but a lot of the conversations we have, especially when you go into the pirate dens to actually find the artifacts, there's some really important stuff said in there. And it's definitely interesting and thought provoking, especially this last one. Ryan, were you able to play through the seasonal stuff this week yet?
Yeah. I played through it. My wife had a minor procedure done the other day, so I was able to, once we got home and the kids were at daycare and school and stuff, I was able to put like 3 or 4 solid hours in. Was able to catch up on some of like the seasonal triumphs to get the material that lets you upgrade the star board
Star
or
chart,
whatever it's
yeah.
called. Star chart, thank you. So I spent a lot of time doing like public events on Nessus and lost sectors on Nessus and all that stuff to do that. Uh, in all seriousness, I usually have like a podcast or music playing on while I'm doing that stuff. I pause it while like the words are being spoken, and I probably retain like 30% of what's said.
Yeah.
The stuff like inside of the Elixni quarters, I try to pay attention to, but I know that it's just we're coming to a head with old Mithrax. They're gonna hit us with something that he's done that's like super bad, and we're not gonna know how to feel about him. Like, I feel like you guys know Bungie and their what would be the way to say this? They're always trying to be like on the front lines of treating people correctly and no discrimination or anything. So, if you think about it, like the whole storyline with like Saint and Misrax like a year ago was kind of like immigration, like as far as the United States go, it's kind of like a immigration type situation. Like they were talking about it without talking about it in other ways. So I feel like this is going to be like Misrax has a terrible past, but he's been like really good to us in the last 2 years. So they're going to present that to us to let us think about it and then try to make us apply that to our actual lives. So I feel like we're just building to the point where Ido is going to find out Misrax has done something that's just like unforgivable, and we're kind of be left to how to deal with what to think about that. That's just my opinion of how the rest of the season's going to go.
I promise my like will end soon. I asked Ryan a yes or no question. I should have known the ramifications of that.
Sorry.
But yeah, so this I was asking because I wanted to talk about it. So this week, if you do a catch crash, there's a dialogue which actually goes based off of what Ryan said, where Saint and Mr. X are talking, and Mr. X says something to him, and Saint says, "Well, after all that I've done to your people, and you forgave me, the least I can do is listen to you, my friend. No judgment." Um, and obviously Mr. X says thank you, my friend, and then that's the end of like the catch crash. And so there's, going off of what Ryan's talking about, there's that. And in the pirate hideout this week, you're going through, and the drifter's like, hey, someone else was here before us, someone that isn't part of this pirate crew. And you find the boss alive, and Spider's like, hey, they're alive, and Drifter's like, I wonder why. And Drifter's all like, they're just talking, and Spider's like, well, they made themselves a dangerous enemy. And Drifter just says, well, so did we. So it's like Drifter has been here just because he's piratey and good for jokes, but based off of the lore that has been building for the last 2 years and how they've been doing now, Drifter's not here for no reason. He is connected to the person that they're talking about somehow. So there's something's gonna happen there too. The Mr. X thing, we already, that's out in the open, but they're now starting to build into the drifter, the reason the drifter is involved. So that's neat. And again, like I said, this is all just in voice lines throughout the stuff that you can completely miss. And we'll definitely talk about it once all the stuff's done. We're gonna go through it, but it's fun to speculate per week what's going on. But I like that. I like that that's there.
Drifter's mom didn't raise no fool. That's all I'll say.
As far as my dislike, some of the seasonal triumphs are way too grindy. Like one of them, you have to essentially run 150 catch crashes, I think, or expeditions. And it's like, bro, that's way too much. Like that is no way, man. That's horrendous. And I'm like, yeah, I can't. I'm not doing that. And then the ruffians, kill 100 ruffians. There's games I'll go like 3 or 4 expeditions in a row without killing a single one. Thankfully, since they got rid of the ball duping, it's you can get at least one per run, but like you got to kill 100, man. Like that's still a lot.
Yeah,
that's a ton of them. They're making it extending out the triumph grind the whole season by just having higher checkpoints, and it's not for fun things to do. It's just things that they can time gate just because. I don't like that.
My dislike is that, and I hate to admit it because I think nostalgia was in my eyes. I always thought that King's Fall was the best raid that ever came to Destiny. But in this sandbox, it's entirely too easy and laughable. We have never died one time. We have never wiped one time at Oryx the whole time we've been playing. And the seasonal challenges are too boring, and I can hardly be bothered with them. If there wasn't like a Grandmaster or a Master raid that was staring me down that I need to do in order to raise my season pass, I would never do them.
Yeah. To me, the seasonal playlists are a miss for me. It's not that fun. Catch Crash is too much of. All right, here's a horde of enemies. All right, go to the next area. Horde of enemies, next area, to where I'm not down with like the little mechanic that they have going on there, and then you have stuff that's like super far distance, that's shooting you with trace rifles, and just bending around corners. I don't know. It's just not that fun to me. I think it's because it's Fallen, and we've just done so many Fallen things in the past where it's just not that fun to me. So I don't. Hopefully, this Master King's Fall raid is really going to make something worth a grind. So that's 3 likes and dislikes, where all 3 of us give a like and a dislike of what happened or what we experienced this week in game. All right, next up is weapons breakdown. So, well, we've already talked about how seasonal weapons episode, basically the season of the Plunder, and that's what the weapons are going to be, all 6 of them. So these weapons have a trait called Right Hook. So that's dealing melee damage, gives this weapon increased target acquisition and range for a short period of time. Dealing melee damage again extends this effect. Alright, so first weapon here is going to be the No Reprieve. And let's pull it up here. It is going to be a Stasis Slug shotgun, which the first one we've gotten so far in game. And there's actually a couple different things to chase after here. But for me, for PvE, I'm going to go Corkscrew, Assault Mag, Triple Tap, and Focused Fury. I think there's definitely some argument to be made for Surrounded in that last column, especially given the Golgoroth fight. I think the Triple Tap Surrounded of this shotgun would go very well after you get done with that linear fusion rifle. PvP wise, I'm kind of leaning into the melee damage of the trait. So Fluted and then Acrorized with Puglist and Swashbuckler. I believe with Swashbuckler times 5, this shotgun will one-shot body in PvP. So pretty good stuff there. If you have one, this is probably this might be this is probably gonna be my, if I'm ranking these weapons, the number one weapon that I want to get a crafted unlock for is this Slug Shotgun. All right, next up is
Is the SMG the next one?
Yes.
Yeah, man. Listen, I use this thing quite a bit because I had like 2 red borders in, and whenever I was doing my Nessus runs, I was, the Nessus the drop point where you drop and you can drop down the elevator, and you got that lost
Oh,
sector
yeah.
that's
That's
kind
the
of to
lost
the
sector
left,
I
and
did.
the public event that comes right there. The drop pod and the ship comes around, and you can shoot it to trigger the heroic. There was a seasonal challenge to get kills with SMGs, and I used that while I was killing the Vex, while I was doing the lost sector, kind of triple dipping on that one. And I had a pretty good roll of this, and I know that we kind of like collaborate as far as these like our recommended rolls. But it is a stasis SMG, so it's in that like kinetic slot. PVE, small bore, tac mag, ambitious assassin, and then frenzy. I also kind of like headstone in that last slot just for PVE purposes. It's just pretty fun. Frenzy is probably the right call realistically, but whenever you need, you can kind of get some stuff like starting to get surrounded, you kill somebody, and then that stasis crystal pops up. You can kind of use that duck behind and just keep raining pain down. And ambitious assassin, I was getting some pretty sick clips because with the because I think that the magazine's 30, and then that was with extended mag, and then with the ambitious assassin I was seeing like, I want to say like in the 50s at least for magazine size, so you can just kind of mow people down with that. Now PvP, I'm not much of a PvP guy, but based upon everything else that I've ever seen, and we usually take Jared's advice on this. With it, we got small bore, accurized, dynamic sway resistance, and swashbuckler. So I assume the thought process there is with the swashbuckler, you know, you're gonna finish off a lot of as SMG. You're gonna be short ranges. Finish them off with the melee, which is gonna proc all that with there. So, do you guys have any decent blood feuds, or do you already have any like craftable ones, or what are you guys looking at with it?
The only thing I got is I got a arrowhead tac mag triple tap swash, so it's okay. When it comes to SMGs right now, I'm trying to match my subclass with them, so I'm not running a lot of stations, mainly arc. So that's why I'm not running a lot of this SMG.
Okay.
But I imagine at some point stasis is going to come back around to get a
It's
small
gonna have
buff
to, because it's
Yeah.
getting left behind, man.
Yeah.
It's really getting left behind. Except for warlocks, it's really the only decent stasis, and you have to really build into it with your exotic as well as your discipline stat.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole nother conversation. They just need to make another stasis super and then add a couple of aspects and fragments to the light stuff. Now, as far as your question, Ryan, I have not fired a single bullet out of a seasonal weapon yet.
Okay,
Yep.
that's something.
I don't know why. I just haven't. I haven't gotten any that have had a decent roll that I've been like, ooh, that looks fun, and messed with it. So
I'm kind of like the. I'm also kind of like the scout rifle. The sidearm is my favorite out of all the seasonal weapons. But the is it tarnish metal? Is that the scout
Yep,
rifle,
that's
correct?
nice,
Yep.
It's a. I want to say it's a 200 RPM, right?
Yes.
Scout.
Yep. Lightweight frame.
So yeah, lightweight frame. PVE, you're looking at arrowhead, tac mag, demo, and then bolt shot or explosive payload. I wouldn't swear to this, but I'm pretty sure there is a volt shot in your seasonal pass, isn't there, on this? Or is that on the sidearm that has a volt shot?
sidearm that got it. I thought.
yeah.
Okay.
They both have volt shot.
Okay.
The scout and the
Okay.
sidearm.
Yeah. So that demo with that volt shot is pretty dumb, because I think if you kill an enemy and then reload the next kill, basically change arc, right?
Mhm.
Isn't that basically what volt shot does?
Yep.
Yeah. So that you throw that in with like a demo to where you can that is a very fun combination on this. I used it a little bit in PvP, but if I'm using this, I'm just going to switch over to Dead Man's Tell and just basically cheat on mouse and keyboard at this point with it. But if you're using this, arrowhead, tac mag, moving target, and then volt shot or multi-kill clip, I'm not good enough to trigger multi-kill clip to like make that my main go. But this is it's a fun gun. I really enjoy it. With the 200 RPMs.
Yeah, not much to report here for me with getting this weapon. Basically, it comes very close to a great Grandmaster scout rifle because it's supposed to payload in that last column. Just how much that you can just sit back and plink away with that, with no basically very little damage fall off. All right, next up is Brigand's Law, which is an arc rapid fire frame sidearm, and this is the one that Fox has been talking up, and you know, everybody knows my stance on sidearms, and this almost got me excited, and I just I put it on, I shoot it, I'm like, wow, I can only shoot something 15 meters away. I put it up.
That's true. I guess it kind of depends upon kind of your play style. I pulled up one that I have in my inventory that I'm pretty sure is the one I pulled out of the season pass, that has chambered, appended, threat detector, and then volt shot. The volt shot on it makes it just really fun because of how quickly you can just dispatch a group of enemies. Now you have to be kind of close, like Jared said. It's you're kind of limited by your range on these. The one that I have that I really like is I like full bore because it gives you a little bit more range, extended mag, and then I have one with feeding frenzy and demo. So that, and then the origin trait on this with the right hook, where the dealing melee damage gives the weapon increased target acquisition and range for a short period of time, and then if you melee something, of course, it extends that timer. So it's a fun gun. This is not like a end game PvE gun. This is like a gun you put on for strikes or catchcraft or the expedition, to where you're just kind of not using your brain and just mowing down just waves of ads. PvP, small bore, accurized, so you get that increased range, perpetual motion, and then volt shot or swashbuckler. So probably swashbuckler, in my opinion, would probably be the way to go with that over the volt shot. But our one of the guys that we play with that's real heavy into PvP, wasn't he telling us that volt shot's kind of busted right now in there?
Yeah. Skoptic was telling us that.
Yeah, so I defer to him because he's like a PvP main, basically. So anything that he says, I kind of take as pretty well gospel.
All right, next up is a linear fusion rifle. So everybody, loves those. So, Cell Spy Pitch Glass is what this one's called, and it's an arc. So, PVE Corkscrew Enhanced Battery Rapid Hit Frenzy is what I put down for this, and that is a pretty good solo linear fusion there, for people that are into soloing Grandmasters with arc burn. This is probably pretty good for that one thing, because Storm Tracer exists, and Storm Tracer is kind of just better than this for the most part. So, and not to mention, everybody got Taipans to start the season, and probably is already working on a crafted one to get that enhanced triple tap and firing line. So, this kind of falls behind in that area. But, I mean, PvP-wise, I think this has a lot to like. Small bore accelerated coils with moving target and heating up. So that moving target, of course, you're getting that aim assist and an easy movement. Then you get a kill because of the moving target, proc heating up at the same time. So you get more stability, which you get less flinch, and some better target acquisition again. So, if you want to pop off with a linear fusion, that's in PvP. That's kind of the way if you grab that heavy spawn. Other options in that last column is Vorpal and Focus Fury. Vorpal is also pretty good. That's that 10% buff to PvE bosses and champions, and Frenzy is the 15% damage buff. But however, you gotta be in combat for 12 seconds in order to proc. Which usually, if you're solo, you can usually proc that off pretty easily. Second column, if you don't want rapid hit, there's Clown Cartridge. for PVE. And I think, and then there's Outlaw if you really want to do that. Last up here, Chad, we have 21% dual. Oh no, sorry. Very. It almost tricks you, like it's going to be that good, but it's a rapid fire frame machine gun that is also arc, and unfortunately, it didn't. It don't have the perks that 21% did. It has some other stuff to chase after here. So PVE, I'm just clicking Arrowhead Break because this rapid fire frames can sometimes be hard to control, so might as well get the extra recoil help. And then Tac Mag, Perpetual Motion, One for All. So that One for All, I believe you could probably park pretty easily with this, and almost feel like 21% dual when you got One for All going. PvP, look, this is probably not the weapon to use for PvP, but I'll have to say one. Arrowhead Break, Extended Mag with heating up and tap the trigger. Yeah, I looked at the weapon. I was like, ooh, an arc rapid fire frame. Please have killing tally and like subsistence. And it did have it. And I was just like, oh.
Bro, could you imagine enhanced killing tally?
Mm-hmm.
And like, oh my God, it would have been hilarious. I would have loved it.
So there's the seasonal weapons. So I think for the most part, Foxes like the SMG. I like the slug shotty because I think it does have that like a pretty high ceiling DPS for some PvE activities. Chad, if you're gonna pick one here that you're like, all right, tomorrow I can have the frame unlocked and I can start making my crafted weapon. Which one are you choosing?
The Scout. I mean, because they keep giving us champion mods on Scouts, and Scouts are pretty consistent in how they proc the anti-champ stuff. Their versatility is great. So having a good arc option for a Scout, because we don't really have one right now. We have a like an Amalon one, which is good, but we don't have a really good one. So having a good option for an arc GM Scout would be great. Everything else is kind of like whatever. But then the slug, having that slug, because it is raid. Some of the raids really use slugs. So having that craftable, I can pick the roll slug for some raid bosses and stuff, and for even for like just solo lost sectors, just to plow through a bunch of stuff. Like it'd be fun. It'd be a fun time. But yeah, the Scout would definitely be pick number one, especially with Volt Shot, because I haven't been able to mess with it, because like I said, I haven't fired a single bullet out of any of these guns. So I'm waiting for the day when I can, so I can test that out.
Yeah, I imagine that's also because
Eternal Blazon. Yeah. Sorry, Jared. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, Eternal Blazon is the other arc Scout.
Okay.
The other thing, you can just dismantle a red border now without having to use it, and you get the frame progress. So that's also probably played into that, right, Chad? Where you haven't fired a single bullet.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't need the extra material. I just
boop. I just want the frame.
Listen, they've addressed a lot, but we've got pretty good scout rifles that have kind of came out in the last year, in my opinion, whether it be kinetic or not. We've got some good scout rifles now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like if I'm just going to pick up a scout rifle I've used so much would be Night Watch with rapid hit explosive payload. Yeah. And then like everybody that does the New Light quest has overflow explosive payload. Night Watch.
Dude, there's also like Tears of Contrition, the kinetic scout rifle. You can get like triple tap explosive on that, which is just out of this world. And then Servant Leader is a great scout rifle that we've got. So I don't know. And then like Vision of Confluence from the Vault of Glass.
Yeah.
So we have a Aisha's Embrace is decent. It's not like out of this world, but and then that Staccato 46 I think was a solar that we got.
Yeah, but like they're all solar and void. All the good ones are solar, void, or kinetic stasis. So this is like the first arc one that we get. That's like, oh, okay.
Other than like Eternal Blazon was pretty good because you could get like overflow
like
adaptive
the Amalon ones. Like I said, yeah, you can.
Yeah. But I mean, just overall in general, like, we have a lot of you can get a lot of good scout rifles right now. So I think that's probably outside of like what SMGs is probably the healthiest of the different weapon types. I feel like Scout's really high up on like the list of weapons that you can get multiple guns with good rolls on, in my opinion.
All right, so Scout Rifle Buff wins. So next up is Gambling Corner, and Fox, you want to give us an update?
Yeah, so the update is none of us got Touch of Malice, and this was what we've got 10 runs in so far,
Mm-hmm.
and so 10 runs of 6 people, so we are
1 for 60.
1 for 60 so far, which Chad says is fine. So we shouldn't have another one for our next. Let's see, our next 5 rounds. We shouldn't have any more because God forbid we have more than 2 people get it before our first 100 clears as a group. So, working as intended.
All right, next up is Lore and Chad. What do you got going on for us?
Oh baby, like I said, we're talking about some seasonal weapons. We're getting into them. The cool thing is they are like just little stories here and there, and they're stories about the not lot well lost sector bosses that we get, the hideouts that we raid. So little stories here and there. But we'll start off with the shotgun. Um, Alex, the beast tamer, looks down on the Dreg kneeling at her feet. His 2 arms are spread in supplication. Forgiveness, he wheezes. He is begging, whining like a scolded animal. Even her war beasts wouldn't grovel so. There is silence, but for the familiar thrum of her catch and the rasping sound of the war beast's breath as they doze behind her. Alex taps a claw against her rebreather, then snorts and shakes her head. The dreg starts to tremble as the pirate lord snaps her fingers and war beasts stir, rising to their feet and stretching lazily before coming to their mistress's side. The catch on Europa was lost because of your incompetence, she says to the dreg. Now Misrax will come for us. The warbeast's teeth gleam in the low light, their claws scrape against the grated floors. Their hides bear the brand of her flag. They are loyal. They are hungry. Mercy, the Dreg whispers. He is quiet, quavering. This is Mercy Pridis, Alex says, her voice lowering. You haven't faced Misrax. I have. He knows no mercy or forgiveness. Alex hisses a command to her pack, then folds her forearms over her chest. Her warbeast salivating smiles split wide as they advance. Moving on, submachine gun. Tag Hall and Thog Orn circled one another, their blades gleaming wickedly, even in the sickly glow of the cave. They eyed each other warily, waiting for the other to strike. The encircling throng of onlookers and betters jostled unsteadily. Those at the back surged forward recklessly for a better view, while those in front struggled against the swell, afraid of being pushed into the path of the gladiators' swords. Audience casualties were common at such affairs. Tog All suddenly broke the stalemate with a massive cleave aimed at his opponent's helmeted head. Thog Warren sidestepped it with ease, his ferocious counterslice raked across Tog Hall's armored breastplate, leaving a thick gouge in the metal. The crowd roared. For several minutes the massive warriors clashed, their swords clanged in fury, scraping off of one another's armor. All the while the crowd furor grew, held in suspense by the certainty of bloodshed. Then it happened. As the 2 Cabal locked blades, Thagorn unholstered a concealed submachine gun. He unleashed a burst of small caliber bullets into Thog-All's abdomen at point-blank range, sending the warrior staggering backward. Those who had bet on Tog-All howled in indignation. Tog-All pulled off his breastplate to reveal several bullet holes in his thick hide. A gout of blood spurting from one of the wounds. He looked down at the damage and let out a deep, barking laugh. Thagorn joined in, and soon both gladiators were laughing uproariously amidst a spreading pool of blood. Eventually, Togal's laugh slowed to a chuckle. Well played, brother. I suppose we're even now. And the scout? Vrisk had been lying under his crewmate's corpse for better part of an hour. His body ached from lack of ether, but he dared not pull from his rebreather for fear of discovery. Besides, if he survived, there would be enough to sate his hunger a dozen times over. He and Krillix had been calibrating the landing struts on the crew's ketch when the ambush hit. A long-range scout rifle slug punched through Krillix in the opening salvo, ripping a fist-sized hole in his chest. He fell on top of Vrisk in a heap of gore as a barrage of gunfire rained down on their position. Vrisk could have shrugged off the wretch's body and seized his arc spear to retaliate. Instead, he simply lay beneath his dying crewmate and let the battle play out. After the shooting stopped, Vrisk listened to the assailants ransack the ship. A mix of guttural cabal barks and familiar Elixni chatter marked them as the competing crew, eager to claim the bounty set forth by the reawakened ship stealer. But Vrisk knew what their attackers did not. The relic they sought was not on the ketch, or even on this planet. It was hidden in a safe house deep within the asteroid belt beyond Mars. Once Vrisk found the courage to emerge from his hiding place, he would take the relic to Aramiskel himself and claim the reward for his own. But there was time for that. For now, the dreg let the weight and warmth of his dead companion press him into deep slumber, where he dreamed of better days to come. In the sidearm, Val Aoug pondered the elaborate sidearm in her hand. She had taken it from a dreg currently pinned to the ground, squirming beneath her massive boot. During her time in the Red Legion, she'd envied the ornamented weapons of the Fallen, but now, holding his scavenger pistol in her hand, she suddenly yearned for the reassuring heft of standard-issue Cabal weaponry. When Val Aoug defected to start her own company, she imagined the glory and profit that awaited her. She imagined inscribing her name across the history of the Zol system. She imagined true freedom, but in the reality of her pirate fiefdom was less satisfying than she had anticipated. Her headquarters, a filthy hovel carved into the side of an asteroid. Her arsenal, a patchwork of discarded weapons in various states of disrepair. And her crew, thieves and cutthroats who would try to usurp her at the slightest display of weakness. So much for freedom. Over the years, her thirst for glory was replaced by the grim need to maintain order, to keep what little she had from the claws of her fickle allies, including the pathetic dreg now pressed against the barren asteroid. True, he was just a small-time cheat acting out of simple desperation. But out here, there were no allowances for clemency, regardless of infraction. There was no room for justice in a place like this. Only punishment. She chambered around in the dreg's pistol and sighed. The grenade launcher. Ithix crouched in the nest of beaten steel and twisted wires that choked her quarters. She curled her claws hesitantly around the relic and listened. The battered metal of her ship creaked around her, bolts twisting with the strain of the surrounding void, but there was no cause for alarm. Ithix had built it herself. Scrapworking was nothing unusual among the Elixni, but Ithix, it was a calling. After the whirlwind, her crew had followed the debris trailing from the overeager, underprepared ships that had left to chase the great machine. As she sorted through the flotsam, it was as if the metal spoke. It would tell her what it wished to be, whispered its destiny. Over time, she and her ship grew strong, reinforced, bolstered by the remains of those that came before. But now the patchwork of fibrous blackness suspended in its onyx vessel, pulsing even now with intermittent light. It spoke to her with a voice of its own, and when she strained to hear its frantic whispers, the words were of her own destiny. No, more than that, the destiny of all things. She did not like what it promised. In the linear, Irix has good eyes, yes. One on top, right, dull, filmy, not so good. But others very good, sharp. Irix waits, motionless, tastes the thin wind, rate of speed, leads target, takes the shot. Irix does not miss. Enemies panic. Again. Again. Quiet. Irix sends his crew watches through the scope. One claims more than their share. Irix teaches. Body falls. Lesson learned. Quiet again. Irix watches his crew open the chest. One holds the treasure high in shaking claws. Irix sees the dark glass, sees the object floating inside, recognizes. Tightens grip, holds breath. Irix knows what Aramis seeks, knows what it is worth, knows what she will pay. Irix will take the shot. And finally, the machine gun. Triumphant Arask held the shimmering relic high over his head as he pushed through the glut of his cheering crew. Right where I said it would be, he shouted to roars of approval. Nothing to do now but secure it in his hideout and wait for Aramis's arrival. You, Arask said, pointing out a dreg who stood at the edge of the scrum, trying desperately not to be noticed. The dreg looked around in desperate confusion. You, Arask shouted again, striding toward the dreg, who now tried unsuccessfully to melt into the crowd. You wagered against me bringing this relic back here, didn't you? Arask demanded, pushing the iridescent relic into the dreg's face. The miserable dreg shrank and shook its head. No, tell me the truth, Arask said patiently. The eager crew members pressed in close. The trembling dreg closed his eyes and nodded miserably. Arask frowned sympathetically. Say it, he said. Say it. I did, squeaked the dreg, who buried his face in his hands. Arask nodded and let the dreg snivel quietly for a moment. The Plunder booth, he commanded flatly. The crew erupted in excited howling around him, then set upon the shrieking dreg and carried him off for punishment. Now that last one, the Plunder booth, was that a like a Fall Guys reference? Because you said, what was it? Five Guys was the Plunder something?
The Plunder Dome.
Yeah. So the Plunder booth is the punishment for this dreg. So that had to have been, because they already had a reference for the battle bus.
Yeah.
So this, I guess, is in the lore is a reference to something, because everyone's excited and they carry him off. So we'll see. But man, there's lots of names in here that we do not know yet. So they're names that are going to pop up in the hideouts that, I mean, they're not that important, but we kind of know some of the enemies coming up. So one of them's like a cabal lady. Hopefully they give her tusks. That'd be neat. And then it looks like two more Kells, or like big captains. So we'll see how that shakes out.
I have more reprise Lost Sectors, so I know everybody loves those.
What? Recycled content and Destiny? No way.
It's time for the mailbag. All right, question one. How do you feel about the $100 exotic? So that is the exotic auto rifle. So I go to look it up here.
Quicksilver Storm.
Yes.
Quicksilver something.
That's been disabled basically until this last week, and majority of content. So, I finally started using it this week, and I like it a lot.
It's awesome, man. I love that gun.
Great for like strikes and the seasonal content and stuff like that. It's pretty good. I kind of wish that the little tracking missile that comes out, I wish that it was an overload missile to where it would stun overloads.
Ooh.
I think that if they did that, it would just be like unarguably too strong. So they couldn't
because
do that.
overload also decreases damage from the ads that are overloaded, right? That would be wild.
But I wouldn't be surprised if when does Lightfall allegedly coming out? February
28th.
Yeah, allegedly. So I would say that there's a really good chance that will be something that's added to it, maybe in like April or May.
Okay.
Question 2. If there was not a pinnacle tied behind Crucible, how many games would you play each season in PvP?
Oh man. Iron Banner.
So you would play your like 40 games of Iron Banner to get your reset or whatever.
Well, I mean, I would do all
whatever
of it.
it took. Whatever it took
to get
the reset.
to my gilding is what I need.
Plus the 3 games each week on your characters until you get to max power level. in order to
No.
get that +1 pinnacle? No.
That's what I'm saying. That if
Nope,
that pinnacle
there's not
didn't
a pinnacle
exist,
side to that.
yeah.
Then the
That's
only
true.
Crucible I'm playing is Iron Banner.
Like that's it. You're not hopping in to do this seasonal challenge of 50 kills in mayhem with a super.
Oh yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. Yeah, because that's fine. That's not like trying to win. That's just having a fun time. Unless people are using suppression stuff in there, in which case you're a menace to society.
We hate you.
People are trying to get
Well-
super kills, and you know that, you jerks.
So like roughly 75 games, probably
Yeah.
at most.
I'd probably play about 10 to 15 games whenever it's the solo weekend and trials with double XP.
Ooh, yeah.
I think it's only like one a season. I definitely
Right.
I play during that time, just to like try to maybe get a couple new rolls of Reed's Regret or whatever that weapon they added in or something like that.
Right. Apparently the bow is all the hotness this season, based upon Unknown and Skoptic, which are
Yeah,
my
because it can roll.
it can roll kill clip, which they're
Kill
all
clip, yeah.
super excited about. So apparently that's the hotness. If you're like us and PvE players, the hotness is that bow. So be prepared to be killed by it a lot and grow to hate it. Question 3. What are your thoughts on Arc 3.0? I would say good, not great. Coming from a Warlock. Slightly underwhelming, but not the worst thing that's ever came out.
Oh boy, the Titan grenade madness you can pull is hilarious. Ton of fun. I enjoy it very much. And there's multiple exotics we can use. You can use Armamentarium. You can use Heart of Inmost. Oil, people are calling it now because it's good for everything. Precious Scars now is a thing people are actually starting to use. So it's like, oh, there's a bunch of stuff we can actually mess around with now. Because back with Solar, it was helmet. That's it.
Lorelei or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Splendor. And everyone's like, if you're not using that helmet, you're not a Solar Titan. And I'm like, I mean, I get it, but I want to use something else. I don't want this fiery helmet on my head all the
Pretty fair
time.
nerf. Pretty fair nerf to Lorelei. Would you guys agree to that, based upon the fact you can build
100%.
into it?
It's not even like
Like,
it's not required. It just makes everything too easy, which is like cool, but it's just switch to Hoyle, dog. You're you're gonna be killing everything anyway.
Was the Helm of Inmost Light? Is that one that requires Forsaken or Shadowkeep? It requires a different.
I think Forsaken.
Okay, because it seems like my buddy that popped in and played for like 6 weeks or 7 weeks, he needed that for whatever Void build was. Yeah, and he had to buy like buy an expansion that he didn't really need, but like the exotic was tied to it. So
yeah, the Arc Titan build with Heart of Inmost Light. Whenever Chad left us and we was like 5-man in Val, on Caretaker, we screwed up the last totem, and I was at 7.7 million damage with the Inmost build, hot swapping to Curus, the Falling Star, and the next highest person on the team was like at almost 2 million. It's pretty busted. It's probably going to be what a lot of teams need if you have any DPS problems in the Master King's Fall, especially on War Priest or a Gogroth. It's going to do massive damage there. So, yeah.
Well, you
those
just
are
pop
probably
class,
those are
pop class
probably the two
grenades.
checkpoints, right? Like the two like damage check areas or the parts that are going to be the hardest, but the challenge behind it is probably going to be those two.
Yep.
I would say.
Yeah, Hunter. Hunter's just okay. The new super is nice. I'm liking it. I used it and farm as a Master of Nightfalls this week because the extra arc damage, but it's just okay.
Right.
Not using it in Grandmasters.
Question 4: Does Divinity need a nerf? Are we too strong in PvE? So let me start this by saying I did reach out to Salter Greppo to see if he was interested in coming into the pod. He was super nice. Kind of replied back like, I'm not interested at this time. It's not a good time for me to get on there. Which I realized after the fact that because of his divinity stance, it was probably literally the absolute worst time to ask him to come on. So probably what I'll do is once the new expansion comes out before the new raid, I'll probably reach back out to him and see if he would want to come on like during raid prep area. And maybe it's something that we record and just tack on to the end of the podcast.
Probably a
or something like that.
standalone episode.
Yeah, or just something like the Conquer the CCB's download or interview Salta Grappo.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And we just keep him for like a tight 15 or a tight 20. Like we don't like try to expound everything on him, and maybe that's the best thing. But I would say if you like us even the slightest bit, just tweet at him like, "Hey, you should go on this podcast," or "Hey, these guys are cool." But I do want to say he was super nice and super polite, and I completely understand exactly why he didn't want to come on. And I also want to say I very much agree with his stance on divinity, that it's too strong and too necessary, along with with the warlock. So I am 100% in agreement with him. I thought that he laid out a very well organized and very well thought out plan of how to make divinity, how to nerf it, but still make it viable and that stuff. So I agree with everything that he said. You can reference his tweets at Saltagreppo, SALTAGREPPO, if you want to see that.
Yeah, I mean, we all three of us agree on that as well. Main reason it should only be used for either pickup raid groups or raid groups that don't want to have to coordinate. Okay, you start this debuff, then you hit this, then you hit this. Now everybody can deeps, because that takes a level of coordination that even like our raid group, we have to really try on it. Now, world's first people, they're just like, here's a really quick, easy damage like increaser. Like, there we go, bang, done, easy option. But like, if you make it to a point where essentially it will only be really good for the people that can't get that kind of coordination together, I'm fine with that. That's great. Because we'd still be able to use it if we wanted to make it, just do a really lazy, a lazy raid run. If we want to just somebody grab div and let's just go to town, weapons of light in the back, div in the front, shoot it to kill. That's it. But for those really coordinated groups, it'd be at that point where like the debuffs that we can create by stacking mods and all this other stuff outclasses it, then we have no need for div and everybody can actually fire a real gun. So I think we can all very much agree that is how we feel about it.
Mm-hmm. So if I'm get like straight into numbers of what I want to divinity, I want the debuff to go down to 20%, and then the cage does the 1.5 quit multiplier, and then I want to change to the boss's heads to where the quit multiplier does 2 on all bosses. So what that means then, if everybody's running, nobody's running div, everybody's hitting their crit shots, and you're using debuffs by tether, you're doing 230% extra damage. If you're using div, that's only going to be 170% extra damage. So that it raises the ceiling of what damage could be. It brings down div a little bit, but it doesn't make it to where your casual raid night with your buds is going to be difficult.
Right. And I do want to say that if you watch Chad Scott, Dado Wado, with his most recent video at the time, that I hate watched the entire 20 minutes of, that basically what he says at the end of it is that it not only is it the most consistent way to debuff, it is the easiest way to debuff, and it has the highest debuff percentage for whenever you're shooting the weapons. So it should either be the highest debuff and the most difficult, or the easiest to use and the least percentage, which is exactly the issue with the gun. But I do want to say, if you want Divinity and you do not have Divinity, reach out to us on Destiny, or on Twitter rather, at Destiny CC Pod. Tell us you would love to get in on a div run, and I promise you that we can make that happen in one evening in probably 90 minutes. We could get you a full run through that raid and get you Divinity, assuming that you're on the last step of the quest that needs you to run the Garden of Salvation raid.
So, are we too strong in PvE? I think the Lorelei nerf was a good step in that direction, and maybe bring down tier 10 resilience a bit to maybe to where
Yes.
you're capping at 20%, and then the level up is a little bit more evenly to reach 20. It's not like tier 9 is like 17, and just kind of just trickle it down to small.
Or you would
perches.
just make it to where like every tier you get 2%.
Yeah.
Like
Something like that.
like that would be the easiest way to do
Yeah.
it, in my opinion.
But that's not how any of the other tier systems work, and never know that makes most sense.
You know what? They've had 8 years to figure it out.
Yep.
At this point, so it meant nothing for 7 years what your resilience was.
Yep.
As long as you were above 4, that was kind of the main thing. Make sure you have 4.
All right, last question.
That
Question number
is-
5.
Last question. Let's go.
Playing any other games at the moment?
So I'll be honest with you guys. I've really been itching to get back to Spider-Man because
How could
that
you?
game is freaking sweet, man. But this new season dropped, and I've got to get to that freaking Grandmaster and Master raid thing, which makes me play all this time in the beginning of the season. I wish that there was a way that it was spread out more, to where like I only needed to get like 10 season pass levels a week. That would kind of be my ideal Destiny, like non-expansion seasons. Like if so they're typically, they should be what, 13 weeks apiece ish, assuming that we're on a tight schedule and nothing is expounded upon. Or even if we even got to like 13 or 14 levels each week would get you to where you needed to be when that stuff dropped. I think that would be a pretty fair level as opposed to what we have now. But that's not the way it is. So I haven't been able to play Spider-Man. I do have like the Steam wish list, and the Kojima game, the one with Norman Reedus, and you're like the mailman / UPS carrier. Chad, what's the name of it? Don't look at me like that. Come on.
I have
The
no idea
name
what
that
you're
popped in
talking
my
about.
head was Death Stranding, and I don't
Death
think
Stranding.
that's it.
That's it. The Death Stranding director's cut. I had it on my wish list. It's on sale right now on Steam for $23, and I bought it. And I set it to remote download onto my PC while I was about 8 feet away from my PC, but I didn't have my mouse and keyboard in front of me. So I haven't set the download, but right now I have all of Destiny. I have like the last 75% of Final Fantasy VII Remake, about the last 75% of Spider-Man, and then all of Death Stranding, and then about the last 80% of God of War, and probably like the last 60% of the other game, the girl with the bow, the Sony game,
You're
Horizon
talking about
Zero Dawn.
Alloy. I know her name's Alloy.
Yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn.
Horizon, yeah.
So I have a lot of time that I need to dedicate to these other games, but I've got but Destiny's number one. It will always be number one in my heart. So
I mean,
so I'll pass it off to these guys to talk about their other games.
didn't you hear that Lightfall beat Spideyman on Steam sales that first week?
Dude, yeah, but listen, if you guys played Spider-Man, I promise, dude, that
No,
game is
I know we would both
incredible.
agree with you. I just think that's funny.
Dude, that game is out of this effing world. That Spider-Man game, like I've only got to play it like 7 hours, But those 7 hours were just I like the game opened up right when I quit to where you could like go to like each area of the city. And I will also say that in like the last 72 hours, I also watched Spider-Man No Way Home. Is that the most recent one, Jared? And like, man, that was a sweet movie. So I'm in this like Spider-Man mode, and my son is like a Spider-Man fanatic right now. So I'm sure that's playing into my son's 3. So I'm sure that's playing into the Spider-Man thing, but I really want to play that game. But every hour that I'm playing that game is an hour that my season pass is not getting progressed at Destiny. So that's priority 1 at the moment.
I think a lot of people probably noticed on the internet that Call of Duty bought out some people for Modern Warfare 2, and I'm keeping a close eye on that to see how it plays out and what the response is to that game, because that Call of Duty is supposed to last for 2 years. So that
it's also Warzone 2.0, right?
Yes, but I think it don't launch at the same time. I don't know about that.
I think Warzone 2.0 launches about 2 to 3 weeks before Modern Warfare 2 launches.
Okay.
One is like in October and one is in November. I looked at it today. That's kind of why I know.
Yeah.
My wife dabbles in Warzone with some of mine and Jared's IRL friends, and so I was looking at it for her to get her excited. But she's also playing a new game. But I'm gonna let Chad get through his before I talk about her new game.
No. Cult of the Lamb came out before this season started, so I got that in and out within like 2 days. So no, like no, nothing at the moment. I mean, I have the highest season pass here, so there's I'm doing one thing at the moment.
Fucking dork. Yeah. So there's this new Disney game that came out that is like a Disney version of Animal Crossing, and my wife, she had that procedure yesterday. She was under anesthesia. She woke up. She was up like the majority of the day and the night because she slept so hard in that morning. And I think she put like 8 or 10 hours consecutive into this Disney, like Disney, I can't remember what it's called, but it's essentially Animal Crossing Disney. It's like early access right now on Steam. I believe it's free on Game Pass because my daughter started playing it tonight and she can't read because she's 5. So she was yelling at me, "Daddy, come here, Daddy, come here." And it was always to read whatever, like the choice she had to make. So that is another game to keep an eye on that I've seen. So
is it Dreamlight?
Yeah, it's like Dreamlight Valley or something like that. I can't remember.
So my wife has also bought it and been playing it a lot too.
Is that right? Yes. Yeah. I think it's $30 early access.
Yep.
And I'm not gonna lie, my wife has like a gaming laptop that she uses, so I can kind of look over and see what she's doing a lot of the time. And I was watching it, and I was because I had that Disneyland or Disney World trip like a month ago, and I was watching. I was like, man, that looks really cool, but it's just something I have zero time for at the moment. So I'm gonna grind this Destiny game out until I get to like the season pass. What do I need to be, like 16 or 17 realistically?
That's 100. Just say 125.
Yeah. So my goal is to get to that point, and then I'll play Destiny on like Tuesdays and Fridays whenever we do our raids, and then that'll probably be it for the rest of the season. And I'm gonna try to catch up on Spider-Man and Final Fantasy Remake. The only reason I bought the Death Stranding was because it was on sale and it was on my wish list. I think it was $23 or $24. So, but I think that takes us to the end of the Conqueror's Corner episode. Bungie, we love you guys. First off, we want to say that you guys have an awesome game, and even though there's other games that come out, we all know that at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, we're all coming back and we're playing whatever Destiny has to offer. So we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Make sure you, if you're listening on a podcast, make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you Don't forget you can take us on the road, Spotify, iTunes, other podcast services. Follow us on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. We're pretty quick to get back with people whenever they hit us up on there. And we have been reaching out. So reach out to your favorite people. If you want us to get people on for an interview or whatever, reach out to us and let us know, like, hey, you should look at this person. You should look at this person. Kind of just spit the truth for a minute. The smaller, the more likely we are to have them on at this point, because we're not like a huge podcast. So we get smaller people, we get them on, and then we can present that to the bigger people and be like, hey, here's what we've done so far. We would like to have you on. We will never like attack people in an interview or it be a surprise. We'll send like some questions over that we would plan to ask ahead of time. We're not mean-spirited in any way whatsoever. But follow us on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. I'm gonna let these other guys sign off.
Yeah, IRL stuff, me and Fox are actually getting together to play some golf this weekend, so that's going to be fun, exciting, beers drink. Maybe sometime the West Coast boy will come east and pound some beers with us. So looking forward to the weekend.
I'm going to have Ryan put on a baby Bjorn and have me on an iPad so I can feel like I'm being brought along for the fun. But we got to plan a Vegas trip sometime so we can all meet up and hang out in a place.
That'd be so awesome.
We'll figure something out eventually here, and we might even record a podcast for it. Who knows? Play this game, play some other games, do whatever you want. It's a really chill season. Have fun. Do whatever.
And at the end of the day, always remember, go Cats.